up on that isn't necessarily within here, but just to be aware of the transcript feature to the point of it's a very good feature to look at picture view. However, be aware that it also lists every transfer work. In other words, it's going to list all the schools that transfer, and it's going to list all the credits that came as far as the number within that. That does not necessarily mean, though, that all of them were transferable. University policy, as you may know or may not know, that you're only allowed to transfer up to 64 credits max from a community college. As a result, you might see on this transcript all these schools, and you add it all up, and they're all 2-year, and it's over 64. That's just to give you an idea of the different institutions that are there, not to necessarily be using that. Again, Darwin is the official system of record for transfer work. But that's just a heads up. I use it mainly just to know that the student has taken out-of-state coursework, and then I go further into Darwin as well. But I just want to give you that heads up because it will be more for some students, and it doesn't mean that they gave them more.
I have a question. So I have this student up, and it shows me that at Mesa she transferred 29 units, but it doesn't show me what the courses are.
Exactly.
Where do I get that information?
That ended up being, there's one of two areas to get that information. It will not show it on the unofficial transcript part of it because it was from an external institution, and the unofficial transcript is only going to show you what is ASU coursework. The only way to do that is one of two ways. Is the transfer tab that we learned yesterday. That will list the courses, but I will say that's not that pretty. I mean, if it's only 1 or 2 courses, it's fine, but we would go to Darwin.
Okay.
And that's where you would look at all the coursework.
Why is it called Darwin instead of DARS?
It used to be called DARS, but when it went to the web, then they changed it to Darwin, because it's now web-based.
It's the evolution of DARS.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. That's very good, yeah.
I wish I could say it.
We will say it interchangeably still. DARS and Darwin to mean the same.
That would, that would be really great if it had everything in one place.
Wouldn't that be?
I mean, it would, all the transfer work, all the work here, and then I could take one thing and apply it right there without even looking at Darwin, and then double check.
That would be great.
I mean, as DARS
Mention is that there's not a lot of development within these unofficial transcripts. This is very new. They released this very, very new. That's why, for Julie and I, we've just gotten exposed to it within the last probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks, maybe, just within this particular area. So the advising team hasn't had this very, very long. The records team had to spend a lot of time on getting the official transcript up and going and all the different issues. All the different issues to make one official transcript that's unified across all 4 campuses. So then they were able to move to the unofficial transcript. So this is very, very brand new. So it's going to develop over time. And as it develops over time, we'll probably get more clues. We'll find out more reasons. We'll see what else they develop. And then Paul will create more job aids in relation to this feature. But the advising team has been wanting this for so long. They finally got to even a little piece of it and said, okay, here, you can have it. So that's what this is, but stay tuned for more areas. Definitely pay attention to the grade change with a date. In the old system, when we did a deletion form, if it was an undergrad course, and they got an E, they didn't pass it, and then they took it later in another semester, and they took it at ASU within it, they would go ahead and say this time they got a B in that course. Once they receive the B, the university registrar's office does a batch system of deletions, and will put a little asterisk next to that to show that that was thrown out of the ASU cumulative GPA, and the B was put in place. When, for lower division, yeah, and I should probably say what it looks like for upper division, so let's go ahead and say POS 350. For this particular area, for an upper division, the policy is different. This in relation replaces the grade. At this point in time for policy at ASU, on upper division, it doesn't replace the grade, it averages the grade. But the denotation for a D in relation to this, because you can do it for D or E grades, say they got a B in here, they then put that little squiggly, I don't know how to do that, squiggly line. Like that?
Isn't it the at sign?
Yeah, yeah. I can't do that too well.
Oh.
It's an at sign within the picture, not the drawing within that part. So that's where you'll see the difference within that area. You're going to see that show in relation to DARS. When you're looking at Darwin, you will see these little notes within it. But in the transcript area, they couldn't move that over within some of it. You'll see replace grade, and you'll see a little note in the unofficial transcript. So sometimes you're going to see little notes over when they repeated a particular class and they said excluded, or if it was a duplicate class, they'll put a little note within that. From the training that I came out from that part, and again, this could always change within the area, is that's a manual process, from my understanding, that they do to put those notes in onto the transcript.
Mhm.
So because that's so manual that they have to do, that may evolve as well, whether or not that will stay as manual, whether they can make that batch, or whether they change it all together. So just be aware that the transcript, it may have, it will evolve, but what it will evolve into, we don't know at this particular point. But I'm sure the registrar's office will keep us updated when you see different